I read the novel when it first came out in 2012, and I loved it. And then I shared it with my girlfriend, who told me, you have to make this a movie. And I hadn't made my first film yet, so it felt very intimidating. The idea of translating such an ambitious story to screen felt bigger than myself. So I put it aside for years. And when I was traveling the festival circuit with my first film, I shared the book with my producing partner. And I said, all right, read it. One day we should talk about making this. And she read it and said, I'm getting the rights. We're doing this next. Shut up. Like, there's no other option. Because we were talking about we had another screenplay and we had some ideas. But the minute she read it, there was a clarity of vision that she had and that I jumped on board with, which was, we're going to make a teen film, the teen film we wanted to have growing up. Of course, things have changed for the gay community in the States. The internet's changed what it is to be gay around the world. But at the same time, gay conversion therapy centers continue to exist. They've only been outlawed in 14 states. It is a persistent problem. The UK also has all around the world, gay conversion therapy exists. Where there are conservative religious folk, be it evangelical, Christian, Muslim, anyone, there will be gay conversion therapy and self-proclaimed ex-gays who prayed away the gay. When I was researching the film, I met with young men exclusively. Women have experienced it as well, but I happened to meet with a bunch of young men who had experienced gay conversion therapy, and they were all in their early 20s. And they had grown up in places like New York and LA, where I've heard the majority of practices are opening up. Chloe was not someone who was on my radar for this. To me, she was an ingenue and a studio darling, and I loved the work she did, but I just didn't think she'd have any interest in making an indie film like this. And then we heard from her team, her agents, managers, that she had read the script and was interested in meeting me. And the minute I heard that, I got excited, because I love the idea of juxtaposing somebody's persona to the character they play. And for me, her persona was incredibly feminine and incredibly princessy and ingenue. And I thought I would love to see that princess, take away the glamour, transform into a lesbian, and play this introverted dyke, with swagger. Every horrible thing that happens is lined in some kind of beauty, and vice versa. And also, to me, the film was always a metaphor for high school. And high school is just the worst time in most people's lives. No matter who you are, gay or straight, I think you enter your teen years and you feel like something's wrong with you deeply, that you have a disease that you need to exorcise yourself of. And with Cameron, it happens to be homosexuality, and this whole place is set up to brainwash her out of it. But I think it's a universal feeling, and it's the feeling I got from John Hughes films like The Breakfast Club, and that's what I wanted to portray. And that joy, the experience of being a teen is highs and lows. The freedom of meeting your peers, and like if you're lucky enough to find people who you speak the same language with, being able to talk shit about the same bullshit that's around you, the same teachers who are driving you insane, the freedom of coming into your own sexually. It's too early for me to say. This Me Too movement started almost a year ago, and I've been in production with this and then another project all the way through. I haven't taken meetings, I haven't gone out to LA and done this yet. But also, even if I had, we're all reacting right now very quickly. I want to see 10 years from now. I want to see who's running the studios in 10 years. I want to see what women have been put in positions of power. I think a change will arise, but that to right now claim that anything that you can point to is a direct result of the movement is, I think, way too soon. What's exciting, and the conversations I'm having with other women who work in this industry, is that there's a sense of entitlement that I hadn't heard before. That more and more women are feeling entitled to telling their stories, telling them how they want to tell them, and taking leadership positions that they didn't feel entitled to before. That is exciting. And I think that will result in real change. How that change occurs or when it occurs, I'm not quite sure. It was impossibly hard, but also, and this same thing happened with Kάμερον Post. Oh yeah, it was very hard to make Kάμερον Post. But what's nice is that Cecilia, my producing and writing partner, and I, we create our own opportunities. We don't need people to greenlight us. Until, we do. But we wrote the script on spec, which means no one paid us to write it. We just enabled each other and lived cheap for a long time. We hustle and we do things on our own terms, and we always have. We don't need the powers that be to approve us. When it came to making the film, only one production company was interested in financing it, and they'd only wanted to do it at a fourth of the budget we had financed for or budgeted for. So we rewrote the script to accommodate that. We cut locations, we cut scenes, and found a way to tell the story within a very limited budget. I do. I definitely want to make films that people watch, that hit the mainstream, not just art house cinemas, that touch lives. I grew up on mainstream films. I grew up on Mel Brooks. I grew up on going to the Cineplex and watching whatever of the 5 options they had that month. And I want to do the same, I want to be like Amy Heckerling, who did Clueless. I want to make a difference in people's lives. And I'm now trying to establish for myself what I'm willing to compromise on, what I'm not willing to compromise on, and what that would look like.